Let's start where Jennifer just left off. These 300 to 500 that are likely going to be going down to the southern border.
Right.
Jennifer kind of spelled out to basically help in a wide range of issues. How much will this actually help in the grand scheme of things?
The biggest problem on the border is not guarding the border, it's logistics. Because Customs and Border Protection people are not trained to do many of the things that soldiers are trained to do. Things like construction, putting up barbed wire, driving trucks, fixing phone lines. And too often the manpower that should be guarding the border is siphoned off to do these ancillary things. None of these jobs have anything to do with interacting with with the immigrants, but they do require an enormous amount of time and overhead. So what the president's trying to do is he's trying to lessen the logistical burden, put more, as to say, more of these guys in the foxhole, and using soldiers as logistical backup. It makes all the sense in the world.
Does 300 to 500 move the needle, though?
Yeah.
When you talk about a massive border, I think there's maybe, what, like 5,000 troops?
No, it doesn't. No, I think the biggest number I've seen on the border has been about 5,000. That was a year ago. But also, don't forget, soldiers also work in places like Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, all throughout Central America, doing very similar tasks, oftentimes from units that are stationed in places like near El Paso or Fort Hood. So the soldiers are used to the region. They've worked in these types of jobs before. This is just a temporary duty assignment, and they'll be back home in a couple of months.
To Patrick Shanahan, expected to be nominated, as you heard Jennifer reporting there, within the next 4 days or so, sometime over the weekend, Monday, Tuesday, whenever that may be. He has been in an acting role, but running the Pentagon for all intents and purposes the last few months. You have been advising him. You know him, or at least gotten to know him. What can you say about him?
He's a businessman. He's from Boeing, as you know. And there's a strong belief within the DOD that the biggest problem with the Defense Department right now is managerial rather than war fighting. It's being able to spend that $715 billion wisely. There have had some programs in the DOD that haven't gone well. The F-35 fighter comes to mind. And so the leader of the Department of Defense right now, the skills that are most needed happen to be the skills that Shanahan has. A good manager. He's proven himself in the corporate world. And I think equally important, the president trusts him.
But is someone, you say they need a manager, but is someone from Boeing the best person to manage the Department of Defense? In some ways, some would say yes, but others might say, well, there could be a little bit of a conflict of interest.
Now, 2 points. First of all, there was an IG investigation that looked into his relationships with Boeing and whether or not he's carrying that over into the job. He came up clean. The second thing is he has recused himself completely from any interaction with Boeing or with companies that compete with Boeing. That will probably devolve into the Deputy Secretary of Defense once he's finally identified and nominated.
General, we look forward to the news here, I guess, in a few days, as do you.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming in.